Hello! Welcome to another video. But I gotta say, this video today, it's gonna be kind of half-baked. Half-baked means it's not really ready, needs more time in the oven. But I really need to get this off my desk. And when you say you're gonna get something off your desk, it means you wanna finish a project, usually for work or school or something like that. So I want to get this off my desk because it's driving me a little crazy. I've been working on it for a while, but okay, today it's getting off my desk. So, what's this? Ego Murio. And I would translate it into English as no charge English. No fee, no charge, nothing like that. I'm just putting it online as basically a public service. And the reason I'm calling it no charge English, ego murio, because I really don't like gimmicks. And gimmick, I have it translated here as shikake. It's usually like a little trick or something like that. A lot of advertising, marketing, et cetera, use gimmicks. And like a good-looking person, and they're happy, 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 happy with the product or service, and they got it as easy, fast, and language learning. I'm I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, but it takes effort, and I want it to be as fast as possible, but uh, you know, I mean, it's something that takes time, and hopefully it's something that you do every day for the rest of your life until you die. And but for sure, not free. Free doesn't exist, and even though it's no charge from me, there are expenses. You have to have a computer, you have to have internet connection, etc., etc. I first came across this idea of free when I was a teenager from a book, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein, science fiction. I guess in Japanese it's usually called SFU. And pretty important to the plot of the book was the phrase, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. And basic idea, nothing is free. And really, the older I get, the more I'm convinced that free simply doesn't exist. It's a vague abstraction. And maybe, what's that? Bakuzen Choshoka. Bakuzen Choshoka desu. It's a vague abstraction. And, but still, there's gimmicks, right? And if you check out the Wikipedia article, Free Lunch, it's actually a pretty good article, I would say. And down at the bottom, it's listed under the category of marketing technique. Marketing technique. And but anytime you have free as a marketing technique, at this point, I think it's of course there's almost 100% chance that there's an ulterior motive. Shitagokoro desu. Ulterior motive. Now, the worst example, in my opinion, of the use of the word free would be from this book that came out in 1998, King Leopold's Ghost. And it's based mostly, well, not mostly, but pretty important to the narration in King Leopold's Ghost was this guy, E.D. Morel, not sure how it's pronounced. But let me set the stage a little bit. So, to set the stage, this idiom comes, of course, from theater, engeki. You got the stage. And to set the stage means that you want to give setting, provide setting, where something takes place. What's that? That's bamen, bamen. So to set the stage, all right, we got over here Belgium. And I don't know if you can actually see it. It's that little green thing down there. And let me give you an arrow over here. That's in Europe, of course. And to further set the stage, it's King Leopold's ghost describes, well, let's set the stage a little bit more between Belgium and the Congo. And very useful for setting the stage here is this really, really, really cool website called artlebedev.com. I think it's from Russia. And it's one of the things they do on this is they try to give an accurate representation of the actual sizes of geographic locations. So usually you get a map, for example, over here on the right, where things are distorted. They're not accurate. So, for example, Greenland appears much, much bigger than India and Australia. But if you want to be accurate, Greenland is smaller than India and a lot smaller than India. So thank you to artlebedev.com. I used a lot of their information to help me set the stage. So over here we got on the left what is today the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And on the right is Japan. And down at the bottom, I don't know if you can see it, but there it is, Belgium again. And I put some flags up to help you out there with Belgium, of course. And, Congo's pretty big. It's about 2,300,000 square kilometers. And Belgium, not even the size of Kyushu. And as far as population, Jinkon, Congo, 80 plus million people, whereas, little Belgium over there, about 11.5 million. So, one more time. We got way up there in Europe, I don't know, again, if you can see it, Belgium, and kind of in the middle of Africa, what is today the Democratic Republic of the Congo. But where King Leopold's ghost's narration takes place, it's describing what was called the Congo Free State. And the premise starts off with E.D. Morel, when he was a young guy, I think he was in his early 20s, he worked for a shipping company. And one day he's in Antwerp at the port, and he's watching the ships, or a ship at least, come in from the Congo and leave. And he notices that the only thing that they're taking to the Congo are chains and weapons. And the only thing that's coming from the Congo is rubber. And he's like, and he was thinking, and he comes to the logical conclusion: there's nothing free about this. It's in fact forced. And if even 1% of what is described in King Leopold's Ghost is true, boy, it's ugly, man. And if you're going to be accurate, instead of the Congo Free State, you would have called it the Congo Forced State. And very interesting book, totally recommendable. And I would say it sheds a lot of light on things today as well. And just look it up for yourself. See what's actually going, not into just the Congo, but all of Africa and what's coming out of Africa. And you can actually extend that to all of human societies in all of history. See what goes in, see what comes out. Anyway, you know, see, this is part of the half-baked things. I'm not sure what the transition is over here. It has something to do with like the meaning of things, and language. But I got to get this off my desk. So here we have a very, very, very beautiful picture of a penny. That's 1 cent United States currency. It's got Abraham Lincoln on it, who was I think he was the 16th president of the United States. For sure, president during the Civil War. Civil War would be Shimin Senzo, if I'm not mistaken, and which was supposedly about slavery, dorei no koto, ne? And so he was president during, what they called the abolition of slavery. His nickname, the Great Emancipator. And I read somewhere or I heard somewhere that Abraham Lincoln's favorite joke goes something like this: how many legs does a horse have if you count the tail as a leg? And so here we have a horse, and we'll make the tail a leg. So if we count them, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So generally, you might answer, how many legs does a horse have if you count the tail as a leg? 5 legs. Bip. Just because you count the tail as a leg doesn't make it a leg, right? So just because you call it the Congo Free State doesn't make it free. It's a gimmick. King Leopold and everybody else involved with it, and it wasn't just the Belgians. There was plenty of locals in the Congo who were involved with it as well. Just because you call it the Congo Free State doesn't make it free. I think that's the transition I was going for. Anyway, and another way of saying that is, it was put into better words by William Shakespeare. Billy! And in Romeo and Juliet, what's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. That's a pretty common, or I shouldn't say common, but generally one of his more well-known lines. And continuing on the motif of roses, there was good old Gertrude Stein, whose maybe her most famous quote, "A rose is a rose is a rose," which just means it's nothing else. So even though it was called the Congo Free State, in point of fact, it was forced. No two ways about it. Oh, and wait, let me go back in a little second. So that painting right there of Gertrude Stein was done by Pablo Picasso, who could be argued maybe the greatest artist of all time. And there's this quote attributed to Pablo Picasso. I always thought he actually said it, but for this video, I looked for the original Spanish, which I couldn't find. But generally attributed to Pablo Picasso, art is a lie that makes us realize truth. Very, very interesting quote, in my opinion. And, the point I think I'm trying to make here is that, well, I don't know what point I'm trying to make. But anyway, language is sometimes treacherous. But of course, it's not the language itself, but people are treacherous. And so you got to be careful with words. So, Congo Free State, for example. But getting back to Belgium and another artist, René Magritte, whose most famous work before I get into that, this is not his most famous work, but a very well-known work called "The Treachery of Images," Gazo no Gazo no uragiri. And as you can see, this is not a pipe. Ceci n'est pas une pipe. And you think, wait a minute, what's going on? That is a pipe. Beep, beep. Not a pipe. It is an image of a pipe. And therein lies the treachery. And so again, you can also have the treachery of language. It's not free, it's forced. It's not free, it's a gimmick. This is actually Magritte's most famous painting, maybe. And it's a self-portrait, supposedly, the Son of Man. And over here, once again, we have a motif, in this case, an apple, which was used pretty regularly by Magritte in a bunch of his works. And in fact, this motif was used in one of his works called Le Jeu de Mort, and which is owned by this fella right over here, Paul McCartney, and one of the Beatles, of course, my favorite band probably. And Paul McCartney used this. I don't know if he used it. I guess he was inspired, and the Beatles to name their record company Apple Corp. And kind of as a side note, if you check out on Wikipedia Apple Core versus Apple Computer, crazy legal battle between these two groups, settled apparently for $500 million. That's like over 54 billion yen. And again, this goes, well, it's a separate rabbit hole, right? But copyright, trademark, patent, all of the very gray areas. And again, gray in this context would mean, in konobumyaku, would mean it's not clear. Black and white, if it was black and white, it's clear. All right, but when it's gray, not clear. So again, copyright, patent, and trademark, kind of gray areas, in my opinion. Anyway, let's try to get back over here to Magritte, The Treachery of Images. This is not a pipe. Ceci n'est pas une pipe. Kore wa paipu de wa arimasen. And another transition I'm missing. Half-baked, but I'm getting this off my desk. Yeah, okay, treachery. Right. Gazo. And so language can be treacherous, right? Anyway. But the interesting thing is that this is ironic. Hiniku desu. And irony, kind of a term, hiniku, something that generally people use it, and but very few people can actually define it. So take a moment, maybe stop the video, think about what's irony. Can you define irony? And again, we all know it, we all use it. Very few people can actually define it. Okay, let's keep going. So here's
fire station burned down north of New York City.
It's embarrassing to call and say there's a fire at your firehouse.
Firefighters say the losses could total hundreds of thousands of dollars.
There's a $500,000 rescue truck that's probably done.
So yeah, fire station burns down. That's ironic. All right. And but why? How? What does it mean to be ironic? And well, quickly, you might say, is this ironic? Is this unironic? Is this ironically unironic? Is it unironically ironic? Hmm. Well, you might wrestle with all those things, but to be clear, um, irony is when the surface meaning is something at odds with the underlying meaning. And so, again, this is half baked, but now you know what irony is. I hope, or actually, you know what irony is, but now hopefully you can define it a little better. All right, where am I going with this? Oh, more example. Another example from Wikipedia. More irony. A stop sign that's defaced that says "Stop defacing signs." Or actually, man, this translation should not very tight. Kitsui honyoku jinai. So that should be, instead of yameru, yamete, because it's imperative, mereke. So, so this is a little bit ironic, right? Stop defacing stop signs. Anyway, back to Belgium. All right, and now another form of irony is sarcasm. Sarcasm, yami. And yami is basically when you want to tease somebody. You kind of maybe not just tease karakaimas, but you want to hurt them. And so sarcasm is a form of irony. And actually, irony, boy, you could spend a lifetime, talking about it, thinking about it, etc., etc. Anyway, let's keep going here. So you got sarcasm, and the adjective is sarcastic. Yummy. So, for example, we got Belgium. Let's see, this will be our third Belgian. We had King Leopold, and then Rene Magritte, and also Jean-Claude Van Damme, who maybe you're a little bit young. He was like this martial arts kind of actor dude from basically, I guess, the 80s and maybe the 90s. And if you check out this post posted on Reddit by u/GEC17, my name is Jean-Claude Van Damme. I will dance for you.
My name is Jean-Claude Van Damme, I will dance for you. My name is Jean-Claude Van Damme, I will dance for you.
So good old Jean-Claude, man. So that video was we're kind of teasing him a little bit sarcastic, and I know nothing about that video. If it was like, no, it was edited. It was edited from something else. So yeah, they're but it's really fun. Anyway, half baked. Get off my desk. Huh. All right. This I wasn't ready for. But okay, here we have Confucius. What's that? Koshi in Japanese, and who is unironic. All right. Now you can use the prefix. Excuse me. You can use the prefix that's setoji, un, to mean kind of not, just the opposite. And I guess in Japanese, fu. So, for example, you got popular, unpopular, ninki, funinki. And anyway, so Confucius, unironic. And we can say that he's passing the test of time. And it's been like 2,500 years, and people are still talking about him. So if you are not forgotten, like so many people, like pretty much everything, you are passing the test of time. So another way of saying it is that if when he said it, people paid attention to him, and people are still paying attention to him, maybe it's true. If it was true 2,500 years ago, and we're still talking about it today, maybe it's true. Hopefully. Anyway, so Confucius, passing the test of time. In English, his most famous proverb, we would call it a Confucian saying or a Confucian proverb, is generally the beginning of wisdom is to call things by their proper name. I would sharpen that a little bit. And because proper is kind of a little bit too formal, in my opinion. And a little better, I would say, is accurate. So the beginning of wisdom is to call things by their accurate name. And so here we have a saying or a proverb. In English, we also have an idiom, which kind of means the same thing. And that would be to call a spade, which is also, I finding out while making this video, is very, it goes back to the Greeks, like 2,000 years, and it's been in use in English for about 500 years. So anyway, call a spade a spade. It means call things by their proper name or their accurate name. And a spade, which I didn't know until I made this video, is actually like a square-shaped shovel. I always thought it meant like the spade from cards, but nope, it's comes from a shovel. And anyway, so call things by their accurate names. And here I just want to, while I'm on the subject, note the differences between an idiom and a proverb. Here we have an idiom and a proverb mean kind of the same thing. Call things by their accurate name. But in the case of the idiom, it's just a phrase. It doesn't need a verb or a subject or anything like that. It's just a phrase, a bunch of words put together. And to understand it, you need context, bunmyaku irimasu, or an explanation, setsume. Whereas a saying or a proverb generally is a full sentence, has a subject and a verb, and contains advice, and is easy to understand. Alrighty. So, I guess kind of an abrupt transition here. The reason I'm calling this Ego Murio is because I'm trying to have no gimmicks, no ulterior motives. I'm trying to be unironic and hopefully accurate in that I'm saying there's no charge from me. And so, with any luck, this project will get off the ground. And so, to get off the ground means a project or plan that starts to function or succeed. And maybe in the future, if each video starts getting millions of hits and it's effective, then maybe in the future I'll have like some kind of donation button or something. Donation is kifu, where you don't have to pay for it, but I might ask for a little money. This is taking a lot more effort than I. Anyway, okay. So if you have any comments or suggestions or anything like that, you can send me a quick email. I would love the feedback. And so, thank you very much for watching. I hope you get something out of it. I am going to go eat lunch and go to class. I'm getting this half-baked project video thing off my desk. Thank you.